chase. Busting makes me feel good.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Blockbusting, the podcast where we love to hate movies. I'm your host, Jay Light. Joining me today, Amy Silverberg.
Hello. So happy to be here.
It's great to see you. I like your stove. I often see a lot of people zooming in from kitchens, but you got a very picturesque kitchen.
Yeah, it kind of is. I'm not a good cook. I used to just have books in the stove, and now in quarantine, I'm cooking a little more. But it's a good light in my kitchen.
Yeah, that's how I feel. My bathroom has the best light, but I can't. I would feel weird doing podcasting from a bathroom.
I like your bookshelves. I know the audience can't see it, but I'm telling you guys, it's nice. Did you make this?
My girlfriend designed and did most of the work, and I basically just figured out where to put screws in.
That's why you have a girlfriend, because you have bookshelves, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what brings women. They're like, he's cultured. He has bookshelves. My boyfriend doesn't own a single book. We have nothing in common. No, he does. He has a book about Kobe Bryant. He works in sports, and I'm always like berating him for not knowing more words. Anyway, it's nice to learn from each other.
I think one of the first books I ever read was a sports book. I feel like when I was a really little kid, besides like Dr. Seuss books and stuff, I had a Michael Jordan book that I got from the Scholastic Book Fair.
Actually, Kobe Bryant, may he rest in peace, one of my just favorites, wrote a great poem called Dear Basketball.
Oh, yeah.
And when my students, I have been teaching intro to poetry this semester, and often I'll have like frat guys or students who are just like, I don't like poetry, and I'm like, do you like Kobe Bryant? Do you like sports? I bet you will like at least one poem.
Amy, by the way, Amy's a great comic, a great writer. Before we'll plug stuff before we even get to the end, just so people go check it out. You've been published in the Paris Review. You've been on Amazon Prime. You had something that was just published pretty recently, right?
I'm in like a book. I'm also in Best American Short Stories.
That's right.
And I'm in a book that Amy Solomon edited, and it's like 100 funniest women in comedy. A lot of great comics in that book, writing stories and comics and all kinds of things. So I recommend that. Cool.
Well, go check all of that out after you listen to us. After you listen to us talk about why Amy doesn't like Silence of the Lambs, my
God. Yeah. I don't like horror films in general. I know we're focusing on Silence of the Lambs, but they're fucking scary. I have a quick jump reflex.
Okay.
So even movies that aren't scary for other people, I'm like, my heart is just racing. I'm like having a heart attack. When I go to a scary movie with someone, I'm punching them in the arm.
This is
so that they're in pain after.
You mentioned when we were talking about doing the episode, you brought up 4 movies, and Silence of the Lambs was the only one I hadn't seen. Oh, I hadn't seen. I know what you did last summer, which you also brought up. And you brought up Scream and The Shining, and I was most intrigued by Silence of the Lambs because I'd never seen it. I've been wanting to watch it for a long time. And watching it, I expected, especially based on you talking about it, even just briefly and saying that you had to stop watching it midway through.
Yeah, it's fucking scary.
But I didn't think, so I watched it. I didn't think it was that scary.
That's scary. That's what everybody says. Yeah, there's also so many like references that people use from it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Hello Clarice and all that.
The fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Totally. And so at one point I was like, oh, it's such a like cultural whatever touchstone, I guess. I don't really like scary movies, but I should try to watch it. And I was like, no, it's not for me, and I have to accept that.
Yeah, it's fair. Sometimes you just got to accept stuff's not for you. But that's the crazy thing is, to me at least, just like the first question that I have based on watching it is like, where exactly did you tap out? Because I found the scariest stuff was at the very end,
Yeah, I
where
didn't even.
which you didn't even see. So I want to know like what scared you so early on that you were like, oh, this is it. I'm done. No thanks.
I mean, first of all, like everything. I think it's scary right from the beginning. I think Jodie Foster has a really, listen, I think the acting's great
Hmm.
from what I saw. I think she has a really creepy, she's good for being creepy. I know it's not her fault. She's not supposed to be creepy.
Right. But she gets a great showcase of her performance. And I think a lot
Totally.
of credit goes to Jonathan Demme for that. Because of the way he shoots the
Yeah.
whole movie. There's all these tight close-ups and there's all these very, obviously first person
Yeah.
kinds of shots.
Well, that's what I think
Especially
the idea of like someone trying to eat people, it's like I'm always going to be more scared of okay, like I saw The Quiet Place.
oh yeah.
And that I have to say I still found it scary, still was screaming, jumping, but
Right.
I found that much less scary once you saw the I don't want to ruin it for anyone, but I guess who cares? Once
Yeah,
you
it's
see
fine.
the monsters that are like these dumb, almost like alien-like creatures with like long metal legs, then you're like, oh, like stupid. This would never happen in the world that I know. But
Right.
before that, when they're like creeping around and trying not to awaken whatever it is in this quiet place, it's so scary. And I will always think that like one madman who's like gonna creep into your apartment and kill you or like eat you is much creepier than, let's say, like monster or demon or like
Right.
ghost or haunted something. I guess
Yeah.
real life seems like the scariest.
Real life is the scariest for sure. And I
And
think
one
that
fucking crazy dude. That seems the
yeah.
scariest to me.
Well, that's why I think movies like this and like Halloween have such an indelible effect on the horror film canon, right? Because same sort of deal there, where it almost opposite performance wise, because there's no talking compared to Hannibal Lecter, played by Anthony Hopkins, who's so verbose and so
Yeah.
specific in the way he talks, but just one madman.
He's the kind of man now who would be like, I'm a feminist, like
Yeah. Well, even that's the thing. Even
I'm
Hannibal,
a male feminist.
Anthony Hopkins, he did an interview recently with him and Jodie Foster. This is like a month ago. They did this interview in Vanity Fair, reflecting on.
Wow. Okay, cool.
Well, they both got movies to promote now too, so it's just good
What
timing.
are their movies?
He's got The Father, which he is nominated for Best Actor for,
Okay.
and then Jodie has a movie called The Mauritanian or The Mauritian. I'm not sure how it's
Okay.
pronounced.
I've heard of neither of those, but now I'm going to look into them.
The Father's one of those ones. It got nominated for Best Picture, and
Okay.
it's one of those Best Picture nominees that I'm like, I hadn't heard of this movie until awards
Okay.
season, and I
Okay.
guess now I probably have to watch it. But he even says, I was just reading it beforehand. I'm gonna look it up now because I'm pretty sure he says.
Well, it's
Yeah,
wild
he
that
says he knows the feminine nature. I think there's a lot of female in him
okay,
about
listen,
Hannibal
I love
Lecter.
that for him. It is wild that that movie produced so many like quotable lines because I also just feel like that's not normally horror movies. Like it's normally comedies that people like walk around
Hmm.
repeating. Like I can't think of another horror movie where like the lines are quoted.
Yeah, the closest I think is probably in Scream, where it's a comedy horror movie, right? Too. So it's
Yeah,
like,
and I thought Scream was fucking scary. When people are like, "No, that's supposed to be funny," I'm like, "Listen, it's not funny. It's scary. Things are."
but that's the thing. There's
They're
a lot.
talking at you.
Like I think I've talked about this on the show before. I think that horror and comedy are kind of two sides of the same coin.
Yes. Well, they've done studies that show that whatever lights up in your brain during a horror film is the same thing that lights up in your brain during pornography. If you're
Really?
listening. Yeah, so that there's something, the excitement, kind of taboo link.
Interesting.
But when I watch porn, I'm not scared, you know?
Yeah, me either.
I'm not watching it that much. Not
And I'm-
watching it a normal amount, but
I'm
it's
not
not.
laughing either.
No, but when I watch a horror film, I'm, like literally jumping out of. I feel like I'm on a roller coaster. I'm like jumping out of my skin, like breathing heavy, like
I
hopping
think-
around, distracting everyone in the theater by like hopping around.
Right. Well,
What
that's
about
because
people who's like reacting to everything that happens on screen? Like so annoying.
I feel like you'd be fun to watch a horror movie with for that reason, though.
I'm like, there they cut. I saw Get Out. I was thought that was so good, but also so scary.
Mhm,
And people were
right.
like, oh, but wasn't it kind of funny too? And I was like, yeah. I mean, like the funny lines were good, but I was like trying to come down from being so scared.
I think, but I think like Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter in this also has some really funny lines and funny
Yeah.
performance, which you need that kind of stuff in a horror movie to make
Right.
it work, even though it's also, yeah. but like midway through, my guess, you probably tapped out right around when he got arrested in Memphis and they put him in the cell. Or
Yeah,
did-
yeah, around there.
Okay. How did you feel up until then? And that
Well,
was
this
your
was the
breaking
same-
point.
This was the same weekend. I was visiting my parents, and this was also fucking dumb. I was visiting my parents, and they were gone. So I was taking care of their house.
Okay.
And I decided that I would alone watch. I first tried The Shining.
Oh, that's a terrible one to watch alone.
I know, and that was so scary that I turned that off. Also in the middle. Yeah, that was fucking scary as hell. Also, in The Shining, I'm a writer, and I was like, oh, this could be me.
Yeah, you could get Jack Torrance for
Oh,
sure.
for sure. And then I was like, okay, I'll try Silence of the Lambs. Like, why the next night? I like tapped out and watched like Happy Gilmore, my favorite movie. I also have terrible taste in movies, so I'm always like, I'm like really pretentious about books, and then every movie I'm like, I liked it, except for horror movies. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go back to Happy Gilmore, and then the next day I was like, I'm gonna try Silence of the Lambs, and I also was just like, this isn't pleasurable. This is making me insane. This is making me jump out of my skin. Yeah, when they get him in the cell, sure, it's fucking scary.
Have you tried watching it again since?
No.
Man.
Should I?
I mean, it's really good.
Were you glad to have watched it?
I was really glad to have watched it. Yeah.
You thought it was a good movie.
I thought it was a good movie. I don't think it's a horror movie. I do think
Why?
it's got some scary parts, sure.
Oh, you don't think it's that scary?
I didn't think it was that scary. I think that it's definitely more of like a psychological thriller.
Okay. I think those are the scariest.
Well, because I can see why they're so.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they really get into your brain, because that's a whole psychological part of psychological thriller.
Right.
But I think that you're totally right. The very opening sequence, from even just that shot of her running over the credits, there's
Yeah.
something unsettling about that, right? And
The whole thing's unsettling. That's a great word to describe it.
it's definite, and it's unsettling the whole way through. But I wasn't particularly. I don't know. When I think of horror movies, like I was expecting the way you were talking about it, because I love The Shining and I get frightened by The Shining. The Shining
Okay.
is
You think The Shining is much scarier.
The Shining is a very scary movie.
Okay, what about that
I was
one
thinking-
where like Rosemary's Baby? Do you think that's scary?
I've never seen Rosemary's Baby.
Okay, that I also think is really scary. I think every movie's scary. So anything you
Have you seen Hereditary?
No, couldn't sit. No.
Okay. So
When
yeah.
people described the movie to me, and I was like, "That you describing the movie up to the point I know where like the head flies off. That's gonna give me nightmares. Even the description."
Oh, Hereditary is horrifying, but I love it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, people love it, and I'm just like, I gotta sit it out. Anyway, in Rosemary's Baby, it's like, her head starts spinning around.
Oh, they do an Exorcist in that too?
Yeah. Oh, I
Can't
see.
see. I've never seen The Exorcist either.
I'm thinking of The Exorcist. Okay, I was
All
like,
the horror
let's
movies
do
just blur
horror
together
movies,
for
and I
you.
literally like can barely sit through them. So, yeah, okay. So you didn't find it to be that scary. I'm hearing.
No, I found it to be. I mean, there's like I said, it's definitely unsettling. The violence is, even though it's really largely off screen, except for the stuff with Hannibal attacking the cops.
Yeah.
The actual like gory images of the kills and the corpses
The
and
weird thing
stuff.
he does with his tongue,
Yeah. That
like that is enough. That was a good impression, right?
that was very good.
That is enough to, like I bow out when I know someone's gonna do something weird with their tongue. It's
Hmm.
like that alone is.
The tongue is one of the scariest muscles in the
Oh my
human
God.
body.
Someone's eating people and they're making that little like tongue. I do think now that we talk about it, it would be funny if someone was going down on someone, or if I was going to go down on someone and I made that.
Yeah, you should do that next time.
I tried that on my
try it on your boyfriend.
loving boyfriend.
And see if he's like, what, are you doing a Michael Jordan thing? What's going on here?
Yeah, I don't
What's
even.
happening?
He's also seen like 5 movies. That's the one thing we have in common. We both love Happy Gilmore.
I've never seen Happy Gilmore.
Oh my God, I
know.
couldn't do it as my least favorite movie because it's like my favorite movie. It's a movie I think I could play all the roles and act out.
So I missed out on all of these movies as a kid because I just wasn't like, I was super sheltered. I wasn't allowed to watch like anything.
Did you
I
grow
didn't.
up religious?
Yeah,
Okay.
I wasn't allowed
But
to
if
see.
they're sheltered and they're not allowed to watch anything, it's either religious or that's the only one.
Yeah, I guess
I was
that's
like,
it.
what could be the other?
It's religious or different kind of religious.
Yeah.
I think, but yeah, like I hadn't seen. I didn't see Billy Madison even until I was like in college, I think.
Hmm.
But I meet all of these people. Like I have friends of mine. I was talking about doing Silence of the Lambs, and they're like, "Oh, I saw that when I was 5 years old."
Oh yeah, that's the other thing too is like my parents love this movie and like The Shining, I feel like it's a movie that parents try to press on you kind of.
Mhm.
And with The Exorcist, it was like scary for them and so they're like you should try to. I'm like, why are you trying to torture me?
Oh, my parents, I don't think would ever watch a horror movie.
Mm.
I feel like, well, especially with the religious parts, they would definitely be even more freaked out by The Exorcist than your average audience member, my guess.
I will say my parents haven't watched a horror movie in a really long time and I forgot about this one. I watched one with them, The Invisible Man. It was like
Who's in that? I remember that being
yeah, it was
in the old, like in the 70s or the 80s.
yeah, they like remade it. It was the girl from the woman, excuse me, from Mad Men. What's her name? And
Oh, the one with Elizabeth Moss.
yes, with Elizabeth
Yes,
Moss.
from earlier last year. Yes.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a metaphor, I think, for like domestic abuse and sort of like not believing a woman because it's like only she sees it because it's this invisible man who's like sort of torturing her. And my mom was like, she seems crazy, and I was like, Mom, that's
You were buying into the male gaze, Mom.
because you're literally seeing her like get punched and no one knows where it's coming from. And my mom was like, she seems wild.
Oh, she's a little wackadoo.
Yeah. And my mom is a feminist, I will say that.
A Hannibal Lecter style feminist.
Yeah. Throwing her for a loop. Yeah, my mom's like, women deserve to be eaten just like men.
I think, okay, so speaking of feminism in this movie, I do think, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it, but given how much of the movie you saw.
Right.
I wouldn't say this is.
Have you ever done one of these podcasts with someone who like has barely seen the movie?
Oh, I've done it with people who've walked out, just like, well, you didn't walk out, you turned it off.
No,
I did.
no, okay.
The most notable one, this is an early one, I did an episode with Brian Moses on Transformers, and he walked out of Transformers, which is
That's
great
a movie
because
I wouldn't want to sit through. Yeah, I'm not like a big I'm not a comic book movie person or like an action. Are Transformers considered comic book?
I think so. It's sort of in that comic book superhero, big bombastic kind of vein.
Yeah, those aren't for me.
But Transformers franchise is basically all just thinly veiled military propaganda anyway, which he had no idea about because he didn't watch the
I
whole
wouldn't
movie.
have. I wouldn't have known that
Yeah.
either.
Well, when I rewatched it, I was like, oh yeah, Michael Bay's just doing like a commercial for the Marines, but with Optimus Prime
Like at
also.
any moment, you'll see that little typeset over it that says like join the Marine.
Yeah, like the few, the
Steve Brings.
proud,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what it is.
Bumblebee.
What is it? Steve Brings. Yeah, I don't like any of that. What I always like is like you can't put a romantic comedy in front of me that I'm not gonna like.
You
Even
are pretty much just across the board.
across the board, sweet romantic comedy. I'm like, I'll take it, even if it's dumb. I'm like, I didn't feel like a waste of time. I enjoyed myself.
Why do you think? Because you said your taste in books, you've got it sounds like a very different taste in books than you do in
Yeah, I
movies.
think it's for that reason. I think it's like I spend a lot of time reading good books and thinking about literature, and then when I sit in front of the TV or a movie, I'm just like, give me whatever. I have terrible taste in TV too. I'm like watching every kind of reality shit.
Oh, I love reality, but I feel like people hate reality TV for the wrong reasons because reality
Yeah.
TV is the most fascinating TV.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm also just like I spent all day like reading and talking about books. My day job is teaching and stuff, and I'm like, so now I wanna see um my favorite's Temptation Island. That's on right now. Have you seen Temptation Island?
I've seen a little bit.
Oh
My
my God, I cannot recommend it enough. It is just mwah. It is true drama and sex. What could you want? It's people who have been in like long-term relationships together, who have true intimacy, who have like dogs together and share lives, and their families know each other, and then they go on Temptation Island and are separated onto two different islands with a group of single people, and then their significant other has to watch them like hook up. It's so crazy. And then at the end they decide if they want to stay together or not. And this is after like a girl will have like watched her boyfriend like have a threesome, and then at the end she's like, so crazy.
oh my God.
Love it. I'm watching it like cackling gleefully, and then sometimes I'm crying because it'll be really sad. It's just every emotion.
I had a buddy of mine who worked on Temptation Island
I'd
the most recent
talk to him.
season. He and I worked on MasterChef together, and I thought because we shot.
Did I know you worked on MasterChef?
I don't know. I
Because
might.
that's my favorite genre of reality TV, other than Temptation Island, is a chef competition.
Well, guess what? MasterChef Legends coming back.
Oh, I'm so excited! Top Chef's my desert island show.
Top Chef's
I,
great.
I'm not a weed person. I get really paranoid, but recently I've been eating like half gummies to help me fall asleep.
Okay.
Because I have insomnia, and at my boyfriend's, he had a different kind, and I was like, you know what? I'm ready for the whole thing. Like I've graduated, and I haven't been that way since college because I thought that I learned my lesson in college, but I keep like creeping back, to try. I was like, you got to take me to the hospital, and he was like, I really don't think you need.
Yeah.
He's like, I
It might
don't
be a
want
little
to get
much.
mad at me. I want to do what you want, but I don't feel that you need to go to the hospital. And I was like, I feel like you can hear my thoughts and that you know what I'm thinking and that the thoughts are bad. And he was like, I don't know that. My like pull, I was just like having a panic attack, and the only thing that could calm me was Top Chef judge Tom Colicchio's voice. Once I put an old Top Chef season on, suddenly I was able to withstand it, and then I fell asleep to the sweet sound of
great.
Tom Colicchio.
What do you know? Tom Colicchio saving hearts and minds in more than just cooking
Not
competition.
even like actual weed, like a weed gummy meant for sleep made me so fucking paranoid. Anyway, not to get off topic, but a Top Chef competition, I'd say in many ways the inverse of Silence of the Lambs. No one's eating each other.
True. But we did have, not to spoil too much, but I don't know how many MasterChef viewers watch this show, but we did have somebody cut off the tip of her finger on this season of MasterChef.
Oh my God.
So
Cute.
spoilers.
So this is all people who've been on MasterChef before and they've come back?
No, they called it MasterChef Legends because there are a bunch of legendary chefs on. So like Emeril Lagasse's on.
Got it.
Yeah.
And I like all the celebrity chefs. For somebody who also doesn't cook at all, I'm like, ooh, Emerald, show me what you're up to.
I learned so much just by working on the show because I feel like I have to start picking up a little bit of stuff. And now,
Right.
you watch Gordon Ramsay yell at people, but also you learn how to chiffonade,
Do
which
you
I
think
had no idea what it was.
do you think he's a good guy? Do you have to tell me this after
I mean, we can talk more off the air, but I do
okay,
actually, I
okay.
mean, I do really like Gordon a lot. He's
That
really,
that seems good. That's nice.
yeah, he's a good guy. He cares about cooking and he cares about people succeeding.
I like those
Um,
there were like TikToks of him where people were showing that him what he was up to cooking and then he would like kind of critique it. I thought that
yeah.
was cute. I don't know. I like to see an old man like get on TikTok.
I don't know who is, I'm guessing probably one of his daughters is telling him like,
Like
do
showing
this
him
for
it's
social
like I
media.
can't figure out TikTok, but he can. And I love that for him.
It's great. Yeah, Gordon's a great boss. He's one of those guys who like you show up and you have to be because he's giving it 100%, so you also have to be giving 100%.
Listen, I have something to pitch to you. Maybe
Pitch.
you and I can make this happen. Okay, Silence of the Lambs remake, but it's
Mm-hmm.
Gordon Ramsay,
Okay.
and the whole thing's a different vibe. Not scary.
We'll do Gordon Ramsay as Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
Let's get like Padma Lakshmi
Oh my God.
as
Mwah.
Clarice.
I mean, Padma Lakshmi is so hot. You know, it's like I'm not a what is that thing called where people imagine celebrities having sex and
There's a name for that?
they imagine they're with them.
I thought that was just like humanity. I thought that was just something everybody
No,
did.
I think it's called like fan fiction, I think, is
Oh,
what
I guess yeah, you can call it
it is.
fan
But
fiction.
like
I always think of fan fiction as like people
I thought it was
like
something
from the Harry
specific
Potter universe having
if
sex with
it's
each
like
other.
sexual. Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's one of them.
Yeah.
But I would have one where it's like me and Tom and Padma and we're like all together and we've all like had a few, and one thing leads to another. My
Who's on Top Chef? That's what that
yeah,
whole
yeah.
Oh man, we got very off topic.
Sorry.
But
Okay.
no, it's okay. Well, this is the hard thing to do with somebody who hasn't seen the whole movie.
I'm sorry. Okay,
But it's
keep going.
okay. This is why I love the idea of a movie being so not your cup of tea that
Yeah.
you just
I
can't
like
watch it.
talking to you about horror in general because similar to weed, it's something I kind of keep trying, even though I don't like it, and even though it makes me feel bad. But like every few years, there'll be some horror movie that everyone's like, "Come on, you gotta see it. It'll be fun." And then I'll be like, "Yeah, okay," and then it's like so not enjoyable for me.
Right. It's one of those things where it's like, I mean, watching it again, I think a lot of the reason why I watched it, or why, not why I watched it, but why I thought it wasn't scary now, is because I think we've just become so desensitized.
Because
Um,
it's sort of what do you think is the scariest film? The one you mentioned.
Probably Hereditary. I mean, I love scary movies because at this point now, like I love any movie that really like brings me to a place of feeling something very intensely.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
that's the difference. I'm not looking to feel anything intensely.
I love movies like that. I love my favorite movie of the past 5 years is Uncut Gems
Oh,
because same sort of thing. It's like every time I watch that, I feel that just
okay.
kind of
I
feeling.
haven't seen Uncut Gems. My parents are Jews, and they tried to explain to me Uncut Gems, and they talked so quickly over each other the entire time that I was like, I think I got the vibe.
Yeah, you picked up on it.
I'm like, growing up in a house with you two was Uncut Gems.
I feel like you might have the same kind of reaction to Uncut Gems as you did to this movie, though, because I've seen the argument put forth that Uncut Gems is a horror movie,
Oh, wow.
and I mean,
And you kind
I
of subscribe to that?
yeah, well, because I think Silence of the Lambs is a really, really great movie, but I would say that it succeeds in ways on an artistic level that is hard to pull off if it was going more down the horror angle.
Okay.
Like I could see any of the art house horror directors remaking this and still not being able to do it as well as Jonathan Demme did because
Right,
he just
right.
did like it's kind of magic on screen.
What else has Jonathan Demme done? Anything I would know?
He has done the last movie.
Happy Gilmore. Just kidding.
He did a movie, Rachel Getting Married in
Oh, I
2008.
love Rachel Getting married. I'm
Yeah.
so surprised by that. That's just like a good drama.
I remember there's a lot of awards talk for that as well.
That's such, yeah, that's a movie I love.
And he did Philadelphia.
Haven't seen here. It's great.
He directed some concert films like Stop Making Sense, Talking Heads concert film, Justin Timberlake and the Tennessee Kids, which
Okay.
I am just now learning that he directed thanks to Wikipedia.
I don't even know that I knew that. What did you call it? Concert film?
Yes.
I didn't even know that that was a genre.
Oh yeah. It's basically just like a concert that got put on film, but
That makes
there's
sense.
some very good. I mean, I always see Stop Making Sense as one of the top concert films of all
That's
time.
like one of those things to me. I couldn't imagine like watching a concert I wasn't attending. You know, like I couldn't imagine that being enjoyable. But maybe it's because I've never tried.
I've seen a lot of people get into it during COVID in
that makes
particular,
sense.
just because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like, well,
yeah.
this is the closest we're gonna get.
Yeah.
Yeah, what else has he done? He's done he's
I
done
can't believe he's done Rachel Getting Married. That's like a movie I love.
yeah. His last film was Ricky and the Flash with Meryl Streep.
Okay, I mean you got Meryl. You can't really
You
go
can't
wrong.
go wrong. And it looks like it's one where, because Meryl plays a rock star in it, so it's in the Meryl having fun genre, a la
I
Mamma
mean, that's
Mia.
my favorite. My favorite genre is like older women getting their groove back. Like I'm a real Nancy Myers fan. Seen a lot of those with Rachel Mack. We go and like cry in the theater. You know, I love like it's complicated. I love anything where like Diane Keaton or someone like Meryl Streep has like come through a divorce.
You like
and
Something's Gotta Give, that kind of
love
stuff.
something's gotta give. You know, coming out of my shell and I've been doing just fine. But but you're an old woman.
You
And you
want
have
to
a
see?
nice, well lit kitchen, and you're in like a beautiful soft sweater, and you're fucking Alec Baldwin.
See, you should write. You guys should write a movie called Mrs. Brightside.
Yes.
Okay, I will pitch this to you. I think I don't want to. I don't want to say you should do it a la like a Clockwork Orange and Ludovico yourself into watching the rest of this movie, because I feel like that's just gonna be bad.
Okay.
But I do think you should try and watch this movie in full.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a. After this podcast, I'm going to give it a try.
I think it's worth it, and I think maybe it's one of those things where like you got to kind of break it up into small chunks, into manage it easily digestible.
Maybe I should
pun
watch it during the
absolutely
day.
intended. Yeah, that'll help.
You know, I
That-
watched it at night when I was alone, and that seemed like a bad.
Watch it with your boyfriend so you can punch him in the arm a bunch while you're
Yeah.
watching it.
Yeah, that's good.
This is the perfect time to do it
Yeah,
because
that's
it's really well. I think it's well made. I think it does a good job of getting you inside the head of Clarice, and at a time when having a female lead in the vein of Clarice Starling, as you know, this FBI agent, very smart. That kind of character wasn't really like very well drawn at the time in general, and I think that everybody's doing a great job in it, top to bottom in this movie. So give it a whirl. That's my only pitch to
Thank
you.
you.
Really.
No, I mean,
I believe in you.
I'm ready.
If there were,
Similar to, I don't think I'll have stopped trying weed, and similarly, I don't think I'll ever stop trying to enjoy scary movies. I like the idea of it, you know, and it's like once a year maybe I will try to watch one, and why not this again?
why not? I think it's worth the try. It's worth the trial. It's worth the potential. You know, maybe you turn it
Most
off
of all-
3/4 of the way through this time instead.
Yeah, maybe I just go a little farther. Most of all, I will be going down on my boyfriend tonight, and I will be saying and seeing. He probably won't even know the reference. He'll just be like, "What are you up to?"
Oh man, that'll be good. I think. I mean, if Scott
The
Glenn,
way Shay just said that'll be good, like looking forlornly out into the middle space. Yeah, no, that'll be good.
He'll if people like Scott Glenn can listen to serial killer tapes to prepare for this movie, I think you can watch the whole movie to get a little bit of what he had to deal with.
Yeah. And weirdly, I, like many women, love like murder documentaries and Dateline, and I listen to that kind of stuff to go to sleep. It's something about like the horror film and things popping out and serial killers and ominousness that scares me.
Maybe it's with the true crime stuff. I've always I know tons of women love true crime stuff.
So
It's
real.
fascinating.
Most women do.
Right. Why? That's a good way to take this in for landing. Is a question to you.
Mm-hmm.
Why, knowing what you said earlier, especially about how the stuff that's scariest to you in horror movies is like the one madman, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
True crime stories, typically very similar.
Yeah.
Why do you find those palatable and almost soothing in a way? If you can listen to them and get to sleep.
I really do think it is like a testament to the directing of scary movies and movie making and everything, that it's the experience of like what will happen next and all the. I mean, you seem to know a lot about film and I don't, but I know that there are many techniques people use in order to make a movie scary, like jump cut. Okay, I know one phrase.
There you go.
And like lighting and music, whatever.
Sound.
And that really works on me. I feel like if you made a version of Happy Gilmore with those techniques, that would still make me like hop out, and something about like a documentary style thing. It's like you're watching people talk about something that's already occurred. Things aren't jumping out at you. And even if it's like a scary subject matter, excuse me, the process of watching it is not like making me hop out of my skin.
Right. I think that makes sense. That and I'll say this just to prep you for when you finish watching Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is one sequence at the very end of the movie. Like I said, I think that it's the scariest sequence of the movie.
Right.
Clarice is finally at Buffalo Bill's lair.
Yeah. Great name.
And and he's wearing night vision goggles.
Yeah, fuck those goggles. I know that image. Yeah.
But he shut out the lights on her, and so she is in the dark. And it's a pretty long one-shot sequence. It's probably about 2 or 3 minutes long, of just from the night vision goggles and him following her around. And the whole shot, and this is horrible to do on a visual medium or on an audio medium like a podcast, but it's basically just
you're making it sound scary.
Him watching her from behind as she's
just
trying to fumble around in the dark.
Horrifying.
And there's points where he's like reaching out and like almost touching her, and it's just
and then it ends without knowing if he's gonna grab her or not.
Well, there's about 15 minutes left in the movie after this sequence. Okay. And don't worry, Clarice does get a sequel series on CBS on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, Hannibal. Is that the one you're talking about, or something else?
That's a new one. Hannibal's the old one. Hannibal's the prequel. Good old. What's Brian Fuller? Is that the guy? Same guy did Pushing Daisies? No, I've seen Pushing Daisies, and I really want to watch Hannibal because I loved Pushing Daisies so much.
Yeah, I hear Pushing Daisies is really great.
It is. That was an early COVID show for me. So funny.
Maybe I'll watch that. I'm going to skip Hannibal.
Yeah, Hannibal.
First, I got to try finishing Silence of the Lambs.
Yes. See if you can finish Silence of the Lambs, and if you can't, go Pushing Daisies. If you can, maybe Hannibal. But yeah, they have another series called Clarice that's on Paramount Plus, I think, or CBS All Access.
Wow. Okay. Huge. Well, I'm going to be texting you later about MasterChef.
Yeah, I got a lot of stories I can tell you about MasterChef off the air. Oh boy.
Yes, I need to hear.
Oh yeah. I got a lot of fun human drama that I can tell you about that will definitely not make the cut of the show. Amy, it has been such a pleasure to have you on the show.
Me too. I mean, it's been a pleasure for you to be here.
Where can the listeners find you on social media and stuff?
Oh, yes. I'm my full name on Twitter and Instagram at Amy Silverberg. I have a website, amysilverberg.com. That's all the relevant information.
Great. You can find me at Diet J on Twitter and Instagram, jlightcomedy.com for show dates. And if you live in LA, come see Chirp and Turf. We're live every week and we're outdoors and we're socially distanced and all that jazz. Yeah, we got to have you on the show sometime.
I would love it.
We'll talk about that and MasterChef.
Let's talk about MasterChef. I will be messaging you. Sorry to the listeners that they can't hear the real MasterChef drama.
I want to keep that job. Amy, thanks again.
Okay, thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye. This has been Blockbusting. Go see something good for a change. Ba-bam.